3 of the pans that I have made, and I have 2 more in my garage that are ready to fry. I'm gonna give a hand to this because these are already too high and I need them to go down a little bit. I'll show you more. Welcome friends to my kitchen. Happy Mardi Gras, Feliz Carnaval. Over the weekend I made my filhage or my malasadas for my customers. I made 47 dozen. Can you believe it? And I'm making it again. This time, some of you have been asking for a smaller recipe for malasadas. So that's what I'm gonna do. In here, I have 10 cups of all-purpose flour. I have 5 eggs, 1/4 cup of sugar. I have some water, about 3 cups, but I don't know if I'll use all of it. And then 2 cups of warm milk, a tablespoon of yeast, and a tablespoon of sugar, and 1/4 cup of butter, and then a teaspoon of salt. This, I've never made this small amount. I always make is big amounts, so we'll see how it goes. But that's what we're gonna do for now. I'm gonna start by making my yeast, so that way it can start blooming and we don't have to wait. So I'm gonna put my yeast and I'm gonna put a little bit of the flour. And the reason we put a little bit of flour and a little bit of sugar, the sugar helps to feed the yeast. So it's like a feeder. As soon as you put that sugar, it wakes up. The flour is, when you put the water, it will help dissolve the yeast. If you just put the water and the yeast, it would clump. But with the flour, it makes almost like a paste. And that's why we put the flour. So I'm gonna put enough warm water to dissolve all that yeast and that flour and that sugar. And it's liquid. It's very liquidy. So we're gonna put that aside. I'm gonna put my butter in my milk and put that in a microwave so it starts melting. We'll get that going. I'm gonna put the salt in my flour. Okay, so now I'm gonna put the salt in my flour and we're gonna mix this. I want mix to combine all that. And don't use kosher salt or hard granulated salt. Use the table salt, because if you use the granulated salt, it will appear, it won't dissolve. I'm gonna put my sugar next to. It's kind of the same way as the other ones, it's just a small amount. On Saturday, I had 48 dozens of orders of filhage. So 3 days ago, I made 48 dozen and now I'm making more. That's okay. I don't mind. And these are room temperature eggs. You want everything at room temperature. Okay, my butter is melting, so I'm gonna pour my milk with my butter and make sure that butter is all dissolved in that milk. And the milk, it can be warm enough where you can put your hands, not boiling. And then I'm gonna put my eggs and mixing my eggs with my milk. I want the eggs to scramble. Okay, we know this yeast is good because it's all bubbling. Once you know it bubbles or it raises all the way, I know it's good because I just made it, so I'm not even gonna wait until fill up the bowl. But you can wait until it fills up the bowl. I'm not going to. And I'm gonna mix all this. And as you can tell, see, I mix with one hand. This is just, like I said, I've never made this small amount, but some people are saying, oh, that's too big. So I'm gonna give you 10 cups of flour. At least maybe a dozen and a half of filage will give you. And we might not need no water. That milk might be enough. And this is how it's gonna stay. It's gonna be soft. Don't be alarmed. It's better to be this soft than hard. And you'll see as it sits here, it's going to harden. So, and that's all I do. It's done. I'm not gonna fuss no more with it. I'm gonna let this sit here for 15 minutes, and then in 15 minutes I'll come back and then we'll start working this dough. Okay friends, it's been 15 minutes, and now I'm gonna knead my dough. And all I'm gonna do is kind of just move it around and try to stretch the gluten and do flips. It might take a while. And you keep flipping until you see it's doing a good flip. And I'm keep getting my hands wet so they don't stick. Because if it sticks, then it's hard to do those flips. And that's all you do. Pull it and then stretch it. Pull it and then flip it over. And you keep doing this until it does a clean flip. It pulls away from the bowl. Once it starts pulling away from the bowl, then you know it's done. And I'm gonna cover this and I'm gonna put it on proof in my oven, and it should fill this bowl. Then we'll start frying. Okay friends, and here it is, my filage. The bowl is full. My oil is hot. I just checked. It was 345, so it should be about 350. 43, 350. So it's just right. And so you want to grab a little bit of the dough and then try to stretch it in your hands. This dough stayed a little bit softer. By the way, I said it was 10 cups. It's not 10 cups. It is 5 cups. This is 5 cups of flour. I'm not used to making such a small amount, so it's gonna be hard because I don't know how to make small filage. That's two things I don't know. Small amounts and small filage. I have my stove at the lowest setting because I want this to cook inside. I don't want just the color on the outside and not. And this pot is really small. I'm only gonna fit 2 filage. Yeah, I was looking at my notes. I thought it was 10 cups. Nope, 5 cups. So it's even less. But this dough stayed too soft. So I'm gonna reduce the amount of milk. And that's what you want. You want them all nice and gold
all around. And put enough just so you can control it. And one person can do this. This small amount, yeah. For somebody who's not experienced doing this, these stay too soft. There's two things. The oven might have been too hot. Today is kind of not too cold. And so if it's too hot, the yeast gets too hot and it becomes like this. The other thing was if I put more water or more milk than it should. If I had given her more flips, after 15 minutes again, the second time flips, it wouldn't do this. But don't stress if it's like this. There's two ways that you can do. People say, oh, I don't know how to stretch. There's two ways you can do this. You can make little balls, just shape little balls and put it on the table. Put flour on the table and then put little balls. Once you're done all shaping, then add rice, so then it might be easy to shape. I make so many filhoses, but like I said, it's always big amounts. To make 5 cups, for me, it's like a waste of time. But I needed to do this in order for some of you to be able to make it, because I understand 10 pounds is a lot of filhoses. So I'm gonna fry all this and then I'll show you. Friends, I'm at the end of my filhose. When I make my filhose, I make them really big. I don't know how to make small filhose. So it's gonna give me at least 2.5 dozen. If you make it, it probably can give you more than that. So that's how much this will give. Another thing that I want to say is when you grab the dough, let the dough do its thing. Just move it around. Don't even need to stretch. Let the dough pull itself down. The dough will pull it and shape it. Doesn't have to be a perfect shape. I'm not looking here for a perfect round, filhose or, I want a good tasting filhose, doesn't matter what shape it is. But if you just let the dough do its thing and pull it, and then use your fingers. I use my fingers especially to, if there's a little bit too thick, I use my fingers to kind of smooth it out. So I'm on my probably 2 more. And they're so light. Look at this. They're so fluffy. This is how I eat a filhose. Only when they're hot. When I'm done frying, that's it. I don't eat it no other way. These are so light. And it took me, 2 hours. From the start to this. You can make filhose in no time. In no time you can make a filhose. And then your friends will be impressed that you made it. So, and like I said, this dough is a little soft. So for somebody starting, it'll be hard. But just let the dough pull it. Just let it do this. You don't need to stretch. That's most of the time, that's what I do. People say, how do you do it? I don't, sometimes I am working. If the dough is a little harder, it won't pull down as much. And if it has a hole, don't matter. Like I said, you're not looking for perfection to look a good falafel. You just want them to taste good. And I'm gonna let these two fry, which won't take very long because that oil is hot. I have my stove at as lowest temperature as possible. Yours might be medium, so it will change, it will vary. And so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it actually give me 2 dozen and 3 filhoses. But mine are huge filhoses. These are big compared to a normal filhose. So I'm gonna bag some because I'm gonna go to my son this weekend. So I'm gonna take some to my granddaughters. And the rest my husband will take it to work tomorrow. Because I don't want no filhoses at home. When I want filhoses, I make them. And this is very inexpensive. It's just dough. The reason I don't make this, you could have made this in a mixer, but the reason I don't make in the mixer is because it will stretch too much that gluten and your dough will be tough. You won't have this light. People can argue with me all the time. It doesn't. It does too. Because you work too much that gluten and then the dough won't, it will be tough inside. This is light today and it'll be light tomorrow and be light the day after. Friends, my filhoses are done. So it gives me 2 dozen and 3 filhoses. But I know mine are too big. You can make half of that, extra. A lot smaller. These are so good. These are so light. I'm going to show you one inside. Look. Look how fluffy they are. I can eat them just without sugar, because sugar after a while, I can't eat them. So now for those people that have been asking for the small batch, here you have 5 cups of flour. It gives you 2 dozen or 2.5 dozen. That's what it'll give you. Perfect. You can do it by yourself, or you can do it with a friend. So you give it a try. Today's shout out goes to Sedalia Cabral from Florida. Hello, Sedalia. I hope you give this recipe a try. It's so easy and it brings so many memories from, you know, our childhood, from our time, especially during Carnaval or Mardi Gras. That's why I decided to make this, because today is Mardi Gras. And you just can't celebrate without thinking of those malasadas, where I came from, filhoses from all the other islands. So anyway, so you give it a try. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. Just click on the subscribe, and don't forget to click also in the little bell with the 2 lines, so you can be notified when I put my videos out. Give me a thumbs up, share my videos with your friends and on your social media. And until next time, let's get cooking. Happy Carnaval!